Hello. Debt is evil, and I've believed that for a while, for a long time, that it's evil. Um, this this is already going off of the perfect way. All nations in debt is an example of many sins that can be named. And I know we all been forced and trapped into it. At any opportunity, if, hopefully the Father gives me, because I am asking about that. I don't want to be in debt, enslaved to this system. Um, so if an opportunity comes, I'll take it, because it's evil, and I don't want to have anything to do with this system specifically. I know we can't completely 100%, we still have to live here, but specifically that house debt, if you can get out of that, you've disconnected yourself as far as you can from being enslaved and in debt to the system. And I just think it's part of the evil agenda is they want everyone in debt. And I've seen videos, and I agree with what some of these videos have said, that this debt has something to do with this physical manifestation, if you will. That's what I like to call it, of something that's always been spiritual, existed, since Revelation was written. But this ultimate physical manifestation of the beast systems, kingdoms, the mark of, everything, the beast, they are, eventually it's going to manifest. That's what I've been given to see and say for a little while now, that someone, 300 years ago, they had to overcome the beast. It still existed. All the evil, the spiritual mark, they had to overcome it by the truth through the Messiah to overcome this world. So that's true for every generation, but eventually it's going to come down to, I think it's going to be in a situation that forces people to do something. It's either that or severe uncomfort or lack of comfort and persecution or tribulation and distress if you don't go along to get along. So slowly but surely, for years, hundreds of years, and really since 2,000 years, the anti-Messiah spirit, since then, it's brainwashing and getting people ready to go along right with it. Whatever it's going to be, it's going to be something massively deceptive that everyone is going to agree and go along with. And those that maybe even resist a little, they'll cave in anyways, because the alternative is basically something that sucks really bad. And nobody wants sucks really bad, And these things are going to be revealed with more clarity as time goes on, because he's not going to do anything without revealing truth before anything happens major, as he always did, as my firm belief, in every generation before something nasty happened to the city, to the country, whatever, anything. Since forever, the true believers were always warned, and they knew. Do they have every little detail down? I'm not making that claim, but they know enough. He gives them enough. And it's obvious the direction this world is going. It's to get rid of cash altogether, and it's already based on nothing. The gold was good, it says in Genesis, doesn't it? Yeah, gold and silver and precious metals and gems and rare things, have always been what you call money. That's what you call money, and the whole world doesn't even know Uh, it doesn't work like that. Even the coins, which are still physical, like metal, I guess, some kind of, you know, that's fading away too. It's fading away. How much longer is it going to take to get everyone on board to completely cashless society? I don't know, but with the technology we have right now, and especially with this nasty 5G they're pushing out, you could look into the 5G thing, and there's people that, they spend their life researching that, and they're proving that it's not healthy. Their 5G is actually not good for you, this technology. And it's going to be extremely fast. It'll be like instant. Say goodbye to 4G, 3G. Um, this is going to blow out of the water those things, and that has something to do with it too. I think is the instant speed of which everything can be done. Everything. So we live in some crazy, interesting times, don't we? And the 100 years ago, 1920s, 30s, 18, there's always been, I suppose, something that could be interesting for prophecy. Um, when they got rid of the gold standard, that was a big deal. I forget, which president was that? What number? What is it? Uh, Nixon or the one before him? I think it's Nixon, when the gold standard was removed completely. That would have been a major, people in the truth back then would have seen that as a stepping stone. And they probably thought it was going to come quick, but sure enough, look what happened the last 100 years since then, or 90. Uh, a whole lot more has happened, a whole lot more steps, stuff that people couldn't imagine in 1930 with technology and everything. But now the technology is like exponentially, I think it peaked out already. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that, because wireless things, digital, it all exists. They're just making it better and faster. So that's what 5G is. It's not that it's brand new technology, like from scratch. It's already based off of the things we already have, knowledge of those things, and then just making it better. So it's I think it's going to be, the debt is going to force people in some kind of situation, and that just might be the mark, if you will. Not like a physical mark, but all those who are in favor of whatever's coming, they're going to be separated, exposed as always loving this world and not loving truth. That's all. They're going to go along with it, and every single person takes the mark, from the greatest to the least, the rich and poor, the free, the slave. Everyone takes a mark, and that's what scriptures say. They all take the mark, but obviously those that didn't believe and then they came to the true belief, they had the mark, but they are overcoming the beast. And these things mean spiritual things. They overcome the beast, the devil, sin, the system, everything about this world. The Messiah overcame this world. Says, "Fear not, I overcame it." So there's a lot to overcome for people that love truth, but those who claim to believe and don't love truth, there's nothing to overcome. Nothing. They love. You got to understand something. When scriptures say something, it's absolute authority, period. There's two paths. You could give a bunch of examples: old man, new man, spiritual, carnal, dead, alive, born again from above, or from beneath, carnal. He said, "I am from above, you're from beneath." And he prayed that his disciples would also be one, just as the Father and Messiah are one, and in the world, but not of it. Sealing the meaning of that has nothing to do with like coming from outer space, falling from heaven, literally. in the world, but not of it, in mind, heart, action, deed. You know, they're sealed in the forehead, and then if you want to add their hands, you know, the hands do what the mind says. Those that have the mark of the beast on their forehead and hand, the number of its name, you know, the beast system is 666. It always has been. Take notice that something that's not a contradiction. Solomon, the richest person that ever was, I don't know if the scriptures say that ever will be, because there's some, you know, the billionaires, you know, I think that surpasses Solomon, but I don't know. But he was definitely the richest man there ever was, and it would be, at least for a time, for a long time. But you know, I don't know if I have the perfect answer on that exactly. He had a lot of gold. He was getting, might as well read that verse. Some people never even, people of the truth have probably know and have heard of it, but there's a connection you can make, because that's what the scriptures are. It's a puzzle piece, and you got to use it and put them together rightly, and then he gives you interpretation, and scripture should interpret itself in such a way that it can do it itself without contradicting. And that's why the Bible, the scriptures, are amazing, because you can count on them with such authority that if there's a contradiction, my understanding is wrong. So that can help you show me the right meaning, show me what the truth is. It can't contradict his word, that's for sure. So that's how you get away from false beliefs and lies and doctrines. But let's see, I want to read that verse. Give me a second. It's amazing. I've read some people random online, they call it coincidences, and unbelievable, as if a coincidence truly even exists. If the Father is sovereign and declared all things, then there's nothing like coincidences are accidents then. There's no accidents. 1 Kings 10:14. Give me a second. 1 Kings. I remember when the first time I came across this verse, it was like the connection was made instantly. The Father gave me the connection to at least some degree. Where is it? Where's 1 Kings 10:4? Is this the right verse? Why did it give me that? 10:14. My bad, not 4. And King Solomon, Young's literal, gave to the queen of Sheba all her desire that she asked, apart from that which he gave to her as a memorial of King Solomon. And she turneth and goeth to her hand, she and her servants. And the weight of the gold that hath come to Solomon in 1 year is 666 talents of gold. Apart from that, notice the next verse and connect it to Revelation. Apart from that, of the tourist and of the traffic of the merchants and of all the kings of Arabia and of the governors of the land. Interesting, huh? Her merchandise, all this names all kinds of things, which aren't a complete list, and even these things have symbolic spiritual meaning too, but there's a big list in Revelation on the merchandise and the selling and buying of this Babylon, this beast system, of which is the whole world. It's not one location. That was, thank you, train, for confirming truth. Not that the train does that, but you know. It usually comes by every time I make a major statement and, you know, blows the horn. Sound the trumpet, sound the alarm. So then the next verse after the 660 talents of gold he received in a year, I thought it said every year. I was wrong on that, I think. Let me look at some other translation here. The weight of the gold that came to Solomon yearly. Huh, that's interesting. New King James says yearly was 666 talents. But the Young's literal, what's going on here? The weight of the gold that hath come to Solomon 1 year is 666 talents. Apart from that, in 1 year, that's the. Let me look at some other witnesses. In Young's, it says that that amount came in 1 year. But sometimes, he doesn't really translate idioms. So if you don't know what the Hebrew idiom or Greek is, then you are reading the literal word from, which wouldn't make sense. It's like people, in simple examples, it's raining cats or something. It's raining dogs, That has a meaning, and usually the translators translate the idiom like that. But Young's would say, for example, it's raining cats and dogs. So you have to. But let me look at two other literal translations on yearly or 1 year, because that's quite a big difference. 2 Kings 10:14. Okay, this is the Rotherham. It's a literal translation. And took all the gold and the silver and all the vessels that were found in the house. And one. Break down the wall, juice and again. What's going on here? Wrong chapter this time. 10:14. Sorry. Then he said he'd take them alive, so they took him alive. What on earth? Why can't I find this? Second Kings 10:14, right? Oh my goodness, man! 1 Kings 10:14. I made every mistake that's possible with the book and chapter and verse. I just did all three of them wrong. All right, this time I got it. Therefore will Yahweh rise up for himself a king over it. What on earth, man? What's going on with this? I already put 10. Goodness, man. The devil doesn't want me to do this for some reason. I got this verse highlighted, actually. And it came to pass that the weight of the gold which came in unto Solomon 1 year was 666. See, that maybe the Hebrew has the meaning in there that it's yearly, but the literal translations are saying which came in unto Solomon in 1 year. And I'll look at the concordant as the last witness. Concordant literal. And the weight of the gold that has come to Solomon in 1 year is 666 talents. I think the King James and New King James, they say yearly. These three that I like to look at to reference, Rotherham, Concordant, and Young's, all say in 1 year. Maybe that has the meaning of yearly, I'm not sure. But anyways, apart from that, of the tourists and of the traffic of the merchants and of all the kings, notice these things: governors, kings, merchants, all mentioned in Revelation. And out of all the verses, the one that has 666 in Scripture, Solomon's kingdom, lots of gold, right? And merchants and trading and buying, governors, kings of the earth. There's no coincidence. That's a connection, so that you can understand Revelation better when you get to it. But it's a bad idea for, not necessarily bad, but reading the New Testament and Revelation, all of it is, you got to understand the scriptures, how the Father works, who he is, what he hates and what he loves, the mistake his people made, mistakes. And then when you get to some of these things through prayer and study, you'll make the connection and it'll click. But because the book of Revelation, a lot of it is mixed throughout the scriptures. It's not all brand new. There might be a few things in there it says that's not in scripture, but I don't think there's much. One of them, I believe, unless I don't know of it and it's hidden somewhere, is 1,000 years. It gives you the number of the years, whereas I don't know that Old Testament scripture, the prophecies give you a specific year. Maybe they hint to it somewhere, I'm not sure. Or if that was a fresh revelation given that wasn't in scriptures before, so that's the connection. And who is Solomon? What happened to him? He kind of fell away, and I think it was him who had many women, pagan of the pagans, and all these women he went against as far as you could with between one man and woman. That's an interesting topic too. Why in Genesis it says it establishes the marriage between one woman and man, and but then throughout scriptures you have some examples of believers even having more than one woman. There's got to be some kind of meaning to that and an answer. Was that okay then, and now it changed and it's not okay? Messiah, he said it was not so from the beginning, like what you guys are doing and making up laws and traditions. Messiah says because of your stiff-necked, hardened hearts that I think he says that Moses gave you this. If he says Moses, then that's from the law, and all the law came from the Father. So, but there were some changes made. I mean, that's evident. There's some changes made. Paul even mentions that. I think he was focusing on the types and being fulfilled, like the Messiah, the temple, the priest. That changed, or something about it changed. Therefore, he says it is necessary that the law changed a little, or something like that. But these kind of understandings come over time when you seek to understand why things were done or what was done. And that's one area I'd have to study, the certificate of divorce. Is that in the Torah, in the scriptures? Because Messiah said because of the stiff neck, that was added or given, which the way he says it makes it sound like it came from man and not the Father. The Father wouldn't have made that mistake. I got to find where it is to even remotely understand it better in scripture. I got to find what the specific divorce certificate is. Was that in scripture, or was that something added later? I'm just not familiar with it enough now. But that's he had a kingdom, right? And he fell away. I don't know if it's him who repented and came back, because most people say I think Solomon wrote Ecclesiastes. But either way, he was at least a major part of his life. He fell away to paganism, many women, and all these other things. And his kingdom was corrupted. While he reigned, they had foul intentions, merchants, kings of the earth, selling, buying. And Revelation talks about that. So that's an example of like the beast kingdom. Solomon, 666 talents of gold in a year, or every year. So that's a ton of gold, money that he was making, and that's what the beastly kingdoms are now and have been. It's all about pump out as much as you can. Greed, self-righteous, prideful, not loving and caring. the ability to do so much good, but snuffing it out, most of it, keeping other people and nations poor, not truly helping them. It's a problem. They're beastly kingdoms, prideful and greedy, and everything's corrupt about it. And the debt is evil. That tells you the spiritual condition of humanity, and all the kingdoms are corrupted. It's corrupted. Debt is like likened to corruption and sin. So debt itself is not good. That is, to put people in debt is a sin. To make them a slave to the beast system, so that they have to do exactly what it says, and whatever that's coming, all those in debt don't get to have a say, do they? Can you see this, how in the future, not long from now, how this can play out? That if everyone's in debt, most people are in debt, they can use that against you however they want. And whatever this is going to be, it's going to be something that people are going to cave into, because they are in debt and they don't really have a say. And to go against whatever this is tribulation or even death. So see and take notice how they can control the world by putting everyone in debt. It's not an accident. These people are evil, and everything that comes out of their mouth is lies. Trump's liar. The other president, the other rulers of their countries they're all messed up. They're all liars, and they do evil. They're not for you. They're not for the truth. People are silly, man. So many Christians out there, but I wouldn't expect anything else. But they got all kinds of messed up doctrine and ways of beliefs and all these things, Christianity. But it's not surprising to me that people are into the world and into voting and doing their part and want to see America great again. Nothing to do with sin, nothing to do with truth, crime, and corruption. So then it's proof that they love the world and everything in it, and the beast system. They love it. It's catered to the carnal man. It goes along with your nature and then just puffs it up. It's a greed system, and they know human nature, that the rulers of this world, the evil people, they're not completely stupid. They understand how the system works, and that the human nature, it wants that, and it gives you and makes you want more, and it keeps growing. People naturally would go for it and fall for it and love it. Just naturally. It goes right along with the human condition. Greed and pride. And eventually the Babylon, the system's going to crash and come down. And you could see in it, the scriptures, whether you take an hour literally, or that's one thing I want to add. I don't see, I know 1,000 is used symbolically in Old Testament scripture sometimes. Like it's not literally 1,000 and not one less, or not, the Father is the creator, the Father of all the hills, mountains, and other things that it mentions. 1,000 hills, 1,000 this, 1,000, it's in there. And you can't take it literally sometimes, this number, but does that mean the 1,000 years in Revelation is not an actual number, but symbolic for... There's a problem with it being symbolic, like when the number of days or years are mentioned in Revelation. I haven't seen like a spiritual meaning, of which there might be something to 3.5, but I see it as actual numbers. That's all I'm trying to say. I don't really see a primary and only symbolic. Like, I believe that the 3.5 years is actually 3.5 years. You know what I'm saying? And in Daniel, there's a number, 1,000-something days, I think. And these are real numbers. So I think the 1,000 years is 1,000 years. And it makes very much sense. People have put this together and have, you know, taught this 6,000 years roughly, or, you know, we don't know exactly where we're at right now, but because of all the different calendars and perversion of history and everything. But 6,000 years man works and labors in these beastly kingdoms. And his kingdoms are man times 3, 666. And it has to do with buying and selling and merchandise and whatever. Spiritual fornication that she does to all people. You know, it's not one specific thing or religion. It's the harlot in Revelation that rides the beast. It's some kind of religious power, but it's speaking of all the earth. It's all like this. It can't be pinpointed to one little location. Babylon can't specifically be pinpointed to some country only. But I believe this country is the queen of Babylon. She's like at the head of it, the top. She would be the equivalent of the Roman Empire. That was the most dominant empire that ever was, and maybe still that ever will be. I'm not sure. But maybe this country, possibly others, will surpass that of the Roman Empire's brutality and power. So that Roman Empire is like a type of a nasty, evil kingdom that dominates and takes over and doesn't have to do with love or truth or anything. And so it is with this country. It's all pagan. It's all connected to the pagan beliefs and myths and all that. My thoughts, my belief for the moment is that a literal mark or some kind of thing, whatever, seems a little silly to me right now. I don't know that it's actually going to be some kind of like, okay, I accept it, put it in my forehead or in my right hand. You know, I don't think that's going to happen literally, because Revelation is highly symbolic of spiritual truth. And it's got all kinds of different symbols, and it's, you know, colorful. But these are real kingdoms, you know. It's not just, some of these things are, you know, they exist. A kingdom coming from the whatever bottomless pit, you know, that's I don't think anything's going to literally come from like some hole in the ground bottomless pit. I think it's a symbol, but it doesn't. But that's the truth behind it is true. These are actual kingdoms. It's not like it's just nothing behind it, you know. They're actual real kingdoms, and everyone, I think, knows that. And the way that the system is going to collapse at the end when she's judged in 1 hour, it's going to have something to do with the money system and buying and selling and merchandise. All these things they sell in the whole world, they sell their junk. It's the devil's junk that it sells, the beast kingdoms of this world, the harlot, all the merchandise, everything. And it's interesting, and I love it. In Revelation it says, and the souls of men they buy and sell and exchange. And the souls of men, just out of nowhere, it's like a bunch of things. It's naming a bunch of things, and the souls of men. Kind of humorous a little bit, because that's what they're doing. They're corrupting people, and they're exchanging, buying and selling. You know, people are just nobodies, animals, puppets to these people, and they spiritually destroy them. That's why they buy and sell and do exchange with the souls of men spiritually, on a spiritual level. That's what they're doing to people. So not being able to buy and sell, it seems like the literal understanding on that is the best fit. I guess it's the best fit, I think. It's lining up with how the system's gone to digital, cashless, and once that happens and it's in so much massive debt, there's no gold, there's no cash, there's nothing, it's just all digital. It can, I don't know how it will be, but you can you can see it getting destroyed quickly. It wouldn't take too much to destroy something like that. But if you had real money, gold, silver, you couldn't destroy that all at once. I think that's all I got for this video. What was the title for it? I don't even know. Debt is evil. Yeah, debt is evil. All right, peace.